All right, so tough. It's what some people call life. It's what some people call work. It's what some people call chores. But in this case, it's a TV show. For those of you watching or have watched the show, that may be common sense. But there are some people who clicked on this video just because it had the name Conor McGregor in it.
Who the fuck is that guy?
But the reason I bring up both topics is because that show requires two coaches to coach fighters, and their fighters basically compete in a tournament to see who the ultimate fighter is. But the thing is, this season only has one coach named Michael Chandler. Conor McGregor's on the show, but somehow he ain't coaching. And don't get me wrong, he's there sometimes, but when he is there, he isn't doing much of anything. He's not just standing there in one of his fancy suits looking and letting these dudes figure it out. But he hasn't even showed a quarter of the commitment that Chandler has. And that's why he's 0-6. Yes, you heard me right. 0-6. Not even 5-1. And it's really not that surprising when you look at the fact that his fight prep coaching is terrible, but his ringside coaching is abysmal. And I only know that because I had never used that word until I described his coaching ability. We're more than halfway through the season, and I've heard the same three phrases from Conor every single episode. That's a nose breaker, use your backhand, beautiful shot. That's all he says. Then to make matters worse, he doesn't even get in the cage to coach his fighters. In last episode, he didn't even show up to the weigh-in of his so-called number one guy, a guy he's trained with since Lee Hammond was about 12 years old, and he didn't even show up to the weigh-in. Now, some of you look at that like, it's not a big deal, it's just a weigh-in. Michael Chandler's been there for his guys at every single one. Conor McGregor's a busy guy, I get it, he is Conor McGregor, but what if your guy needs you? What if he's passing out? What if he's falling? What if he's almost too weak to stand up? We've seen how weight cuts get, and they get pretty ugly. We've seen it time and time again. So, if not only as a coach, but as a mentor, and not only a mentor, but a friend, why aren't you there? And with McGregor, it could be a multitude of excuses. He had an old man to punch, a mascot to knock out. Who knows at this point? But we can all tell his commitment isn't with those 8 fighters that he picked at the beginning of the season. And not only do we know that, but Conor's fighters themselves know that. Because after Chandler and McGregor get into this quote-unquote fight, Chandler screams at McGregor, "I'm there for my effing team." Then he proceeds to walk over to Conor's team, give each of them high fives, and say, "I would have been there for you." I mean, that doesn't sound unusual. How does that lead to them knowing that Conor's a bad coach? Because they all high-fived him back and they all acknowledged what he was saying. Not in the shut up and get that out of my face kind of way, but in the I hear you and it makes sense kind of way. We're all wondering what's taking Conor so long to get in the USADA pool, and putting a long story short, he's not gonna. Because over the course of the season, did he not only realize that, okay, maybe Chandler's a better fighter than me, but he's also a better coach than me, a better strategist than me, a better tactician than me, and we'll throw in a better friend, because why not? And once he puts that into consideration with his record being what it is, he can't afford another loss. And I see a dominant victory for Chandler. The best case possible scenario for Conor is that they have a back and forth first round. He just might get a knockdown or two. But once Chandler sees, okay, my striking ain't working, he gonna go to that A1 wrestling game. Then it's Khabib all over again. And McGregor don't want that. And I don't blame him, because who would? Who would want to get embarrassed in front of the whole world? Face smashed in, choked out, put to sleep, slammed on your neck. There's a lot of issues that Conor would have to deal with when it comes to Chandler. But there's not a lot of issues that Chandler would have to deal with when it comes to McGregor. Can he pull it off? Sure. Will he pull it off? Nah. With that being said, if it happens, I'll definitely tune in. But I know who I'm betting my money on. And it's Iron Michael Chandler.